everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Impact Podcast. And we got a special guest today. You guys are in for a treat. I've been working with this gentleman for 5 years. We've known each other over the last few years. We've gotten even closer as he scaled his business and I'm scaling my business, just being a good friend and a good mentor. And he's crushing it in the insurance world and other worlds as well. Maybe we'll touch on those, but none other than Mr. John Wetmore. Go ahead, say hi, everybody, John.
What up, everybody? Appreciate you having me, man.
Absolutely, man.
I love it. Excited to be here.
Good. Well, I appreciate you being here. I know you're busy doing all these conferences and retreats and everything like that. So, and doing 75 hard the whole time.
Yeah, I stay busy, dude.
Yeah.
Stay busy.
Absolutely. So, well, we could talk about a lot, but real quick, kind of introduce yourself to everybody. Give them a little bit of your background when it comes to the insurance world and what you did before and how you got introduced to insurance.
Yeah. The short version is immediately prior to insurance. 10 years. I've been selling 10 years now. Mm-hmm. And I was an accountant. I was a corporate accountant doing like, not a CPA. I was doing like, accounts payable, receivable, things like doing books for a company. And prior to that, I was in the mortgage industry for a hot minute, and I've done blue collar work before that. And always wanted more, just never had the right mousetrap. Yeah. Tried a few things that didn't work out. And I hired a dude, some of y'all know, Jeremy, in the mortgage industry a while back. And fast forward, I think 4 years, that was like when the world fell apart in 07.
Yeah.
08. I had a mortgage company then briefly. And 2012, Jeremy reached out and was like, hey, dude, been a while. What are you doing? I know you hate working for people. I found this thing that I think you'd be a good fit for. And he reached out on Facebook and we talked, and he introduced me to the insurance space. Talked about Sean. He was like, this guy reminds me a lot of you. You seem similar. You know what I mean? He's a northern guy, and he told me that there were some people having success in it, man. And he kind of explained how the industry works, and which I knew a little bit of because I'd got licensed previously.
Yeah. But
I didn't understand the business side. I got in 2010. I got leads. I dialed once and I quit. And I was like, this ain't for me. When he introduced it, I was like, I first told him no. And then he was like, dude, I'm telling you. So he explained like the business
side of it
model. Okay. Yeah. And he related it to mortgages because I understood that in mortgages. Did the same thing. I sold mortgages, and I was like, oh, I can just open a door, hire loan officers, get a little spread, pay them more than the other guy was paying them. And that's how I started a mortgage company out of literally out of my basement. Again, didn't go crazy well, but the concept was there.
Yeah.
And when he introduced the business side, man, I was like, that I can do, and I wasn't a fast start from there, but that was the beginning, and depending on how deep you want to get, we can talk about whatever.
Going from there. I think it's funny though how you quit the first time. If we could talk about that a little bit, because we have agents all the time that quit on themselves. And what kind of led you to quitting that first time?
What's funny is like it's even slower than that. Like I actually applied. I answered a Craigslist ad in 2008, and then it took me 2 years to get my license.
Wow.
Yeah, I would just get the emails and delete them, and never did anything with it. I don't know. I was like, get ready kind of guy. I was on the job, I was still a little messed up from losing the mortgage thing, and I had a bankruptcy at that time. I got divorced. I had 2 houses foreclosed on.
Wow.
Because I made money in the mortgage business for like 6 or 9 months. Mm-hmm. And I went from like this little $800 mortgage. I'm like, I'm buying a big house. Yeah. And I bought a house I couldn't afford, and I rented the original one, and then everything crashed in 6 months, and I lost both.
Wow. And
I had a car taken away. And so I was a little like weird and nervous, and I was like, I'm just going to get a paycheck. And you know what I'm saying? I was messed up in the head, dude, still from that. So
you were looking for security at that time.
Yeah, I was nervous, man. I was just, I'm not an entrepreneur at heart. You know what I mean? That's not my background's working. I've worked since I was 16. When I had first kid on the way, I started working. And that's what my family's done. It's just work. You know what I mean? Retire on the government, whatever. And, that's all I knew. But I didn't love it. So I was scared. 2010, I finally got my license. And I'd never dialed anything before. I'd never other than the mortgage industry, but that wasn't at that time, dude. All I had to do was like, hey, want to refinance? And people would say yes.
Sign
It
me
was
up.
it was so easy then. So I wasn't in sales. I wasn't used to dialing. I picked up the phone and I got the same stuff everybody gets. I already got taken care of. It wasn't me. All the stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, dude, I probably put 30 minutes of effort into it. There's no way I made 100 dials. It was probably like 30. And I was like, I ain't doing this. I remember I was dialing in my basement in my house, in Stephanie's house. I say my house.
Yeah.
I moved into Stephanie's house, and I got this little spot in the basement that was in the corner of my kids' room. And she had like a 1,200 square foot house, tiny little thing.
Okay.
And my kids, I had at that time I brought 4 kids to the table, so they shared, 2 of them shared a room downstairs. So I had a little desk, and I dialed down there, and I walked upstairs and didn't say anything to her, and she didn't ask any questions. And I went back to work the next day and let it go.
That's it.
Yeah, and then
we're done.
That was it, dude. And then Jeremy reached out in the middle of 2012. My license had actually just expired.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 2012. But it was in that period. There's a period. I don't know if it still exists, but then if you let it lapse, but it wasn't so many days, you could just pay a fee.
Yeah.
And they call it a fine in Georgia. They actually fine you. It's an administrative fine. It was like $50. So I didn't have to retest. But still to this day, dude, every time I do contracting, I have to answer that question. Have you ever been fined by the licensing agency? I have to say yes and send in the reasoning is because I had a late. I let my license. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah.
That's a good reminder of what happened then. Every time you got a contract.
But then again, I fast forwarded 2 more years, dude, and I was in a little bit better spot. I was really tired of working for someone. I was sick of the commute. I wasn't making any more money than I was making 2 years prior.
Yeah.
You get like a 12-cent raise, and the I hated working for people, man. I felt stuck.
Yeah.
I felt unaccomplished. We were broke. I couldn't take care of my kids. Steph was helping pay child support. I just didn't. I hated the spot I was in. I'm 35 years old at this time, and I'm like, dude, something's got to give.
Yeah, no, 100%. And it's funny you say that because with the interviews I've been doing as we're recruiting, I'm talking to a lot of people that are in a similar position. And I was in a similar position 5 years ago when I found this industry. I was, everything you just described, stuck, couldn't take care of the kids, couldn't take care of the wife, and just looking for the right opportunity. And I'm so grateful somebody opened their mouth and told me about this because, I don't know what would have happened. And there's so many people out there now that are in that position, especially what's going on in the economy. And I'm talking to agents like, hey, let's talk more, let's share more, let's put it out there because you just never know whose life you could change.
Yeah. You know what's crazy too, and I don't know if I've ever shared this. I've talked to people, I don't know if I've ever done it on a podcast. It just got me thinking about it. At that time, I was looking for a different job, right? Still in the accounting world. I was just trying to find, climb the ladder, if you will.
Yeah.
And I actually got, I interviewed for this place in Atlanta. They do recycling. And they hired me. I go through an interview process, multiple interview process. This is family-owned recycling company, and I got a controller job, and they had a 5-year plan where they were going to retire, and they needed someone to run the company. So they were going to groom me to run this company.
Oh wow!
And at the same time is when Jeremy talked to me. But if I took the job, I wouldn't have been able to do insurance part-time. The time commitment would have been too much. The job I had was super cush. It was 7 to 3:30. I'd come and go as I please. It was a long commute. It was paying the butt, but I had super cush schedule. And I'd been there 4 years, so I was the only account. I could do whatever I wanted, basically.
Yeah.
And we literally had to decide, do I take this upgraded job? It was 25 grand more a year or something like that immediately, and a future.
Yeah.
Or do I stay where I'm at
and risk it all
and risk everything and do insurance part-time on the side, dude? And we struggled, bro, deciding. And she was like, you ain't going to be happy in a job in a few years. It's just another job. You're not wired for job. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, let's do it.
Yeah.
And we prayed about it forever. And it took like a week. I was supposed to start the job on Monday. You know what I mean? You give you 2 weeks notice, whatever. The Friday before, I said, I ain't taking it. I'm out.
Wow.
And I told the job I had given my notice to that I was going to stay.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And then I started doing insurance part-time.
Wow. So that close, it could have been
Yeah.
a whole different story.
Yeah, because the time commitment, I would have had to work like it wasn't going to be a 7 to 3 schedule.
Yeah.
Like I was going to have to be in there day in day out, 12-hour day. You know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
going to be a different game. Yeah, dude. 2 days before, I was like, nah, I'm gonna do this other path.
And have you checked into the company, see whatever happened to them or no?
Nah, I have no idea, dude. Either company. I ran out the door and I was like, now again, I did part time for a year, but as soon as I walked out, dude, I was like, I'm out. I never
Yeah.
looked back. I don't know nothing about that company.
Yeah.
No
So-
idea what happened.
Well, let's talk about the journey then. You know, a lot of times when you get into entrepreneurship, you get your teeth knocked in. But some people think it should be easy. I like to tell people that you're going to work harder than you would if you had a job. Like, you know, that's why the reward is greater because the work is
Yeah.
harder.
Yeah.
So talk about that a little bit, kind of what your experience was as you were getting started.
You know, it's like hard work never bothered me. I had to do that again. I had my first kid on the way at 16.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And at the time, I was terrible in school. I didn't obviously go to college at that time. You know, I'm having it, and I worked at a pizza shop, making $4 an hour, $4.25 an hour.
Wow.
You know what I mean? The most I got, I eventually made $7 an hour there after 4 years.
Oh, wow.
And in that world, I had to work 70+ hours a week.
This was in Boston?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I worked at Little Caesars in Beverly, Mass. And I did 4 years there, dude. And you know, right when I graduated high school, I became the manager. You know, again, I'm barely 18, and I was open and close 6 days a week, and the 7th day I had a half day.
Oh, wow.
So it was 10 to 4 that half day, so I got an evening off. And it's like 75. I mean, do the math. It's like 75, 80 hours. If I worked 70, it was a low week.
Wow.
And to make no money. Again, do the math.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that much money. Then I left there and I went and worked in a warehouse. I got paid $18 an hour to go work in a warehouse. So I did that overnight shift for 4 years. And midway through, I decided I was going to go to school because I saw the future of the warehouse.
It wasn't looking good.
Was just old dudes still working in a warehouse. So I worked overnight shift at the warehouse, and I went to college during the day full time.
Okay.
So full-time job, and at this time I had 2 kids. I got my first accounting job, and I worked my accounting job full time, and I went to night school to get my bachelor's full time. Does that make sense? So I did that. So that schedule I'm used to.
Yeah.
It wasn't that big a deal. What's crazy is when I started doing this, I didn't understand hard work relative to the people that were having success, what they considered hard work.
Yeah.
My concept of hard work was different, you know? So when I came in, man, I've made money since I started in insurance. I was never that guy that didn't make money.
Mm-hmm.
I set up a separate bank account when I was part-time, and I didn't have a high threshold. I was making 40 grand as an accountant. I made more than that part-time at half the comp.
That we have here.
Yeah, half the starting. I mean, again, I was at 55 when I started in the business, and I made 60 grand my first year part-time.
Wow.
But it was just because I was so consistent. You know, I didn't run a lot of appointments, but I was running 10, 12, 15 appointments would be a busy week part-time. And, you know, but I did every single week for a year. And I never spent any of the money. So insurance money went into an account. The only thing I spent was on leads. I didn't change our income. I didn't change our lifestyle. I didn't change nothing.
Makes sense.
So I piled up money. So when I quit the job, I felt, because my theory was if I don't make a sale for 6 months, I just want to make sure I got enough for the bills. So I did that. But then the crazy thing is, dude, I don't know what happened. And everyone falls into this, man. I came full time and I kept running 10 or 15 appointments a week. I got rid of the 40-hour job, the hour and a half commute each way.
Yeah.
And I didn't increase my appointments. You know what I mean? And I'm
Yeah.
like, but again, I wasn't making bad money relative to my job, but it was still paycheck to paycheck, and it's inconsistent in this
Yeah.
deal. You know what I mean? You get a charge back, something, you have a bad week, whatever, things happen. It became inconsistent. It became an inconsistent 60 grand. You know what I mean? And I just was looking at it, man, and I got kicked out of a lot of houses at the beginning. I had someone message me on Facebook this morning, and she was like, how are you in 8 months in? Because I'm struggling booking 15 appointments a week. How long did it take you? And I was like, because she was like, I'm making, I don't know, like $400 a week or something. Or I don't remember if it was a day or a week, whatever she said. I'm like, I was making at least that and I wasn't booked. I was still struggling 8 months in,
Yeah.
you know, to be high level.
Yeah.
You know, again, I was making a few bucks, but you know, and then what's crazy is I started really paying attention to the people that were killing it. And I saw the difference was they were literally just working more. They were literally just buying more leads instead of wearing out the same leads over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. So you want to bang your head against the wall.
Yeah.
Which is that's not a bad approach if that's all you got for a week or two. But if you do it right, you can get out of that space quick.
Yeah.
You know, and they were running more appointments consistently. And that was really it, dude. And I had a great conversation with Mark Mead, thankfully, where I couldn't figure out how to get to like 20 apps a month. I couldn't figure it out, dude. I'm like, I'm doing 10, 12, 15. How do you get to 20? And he was like, really, dude?
It's simple math.
I'm like, yes. But I wanted to know what he said
Yeah.
on the phone to get to more, what he said in the home to
What
sell
the
more.
secret is.
Correct. What carrier did he use to get that much volume? I want to know all the stuff. And he's like, I'll never forget, dude. He's like, well, how many appointments do you run, bro? And me being an accountant, I tracked everything. I will never forget this, dude. I said 45 a month. And that joker laughed in my face.
I could hear Mark laughing
Bro.
right now.
And I don't know exactly how he said it, but I heard, why do you expect my result with your work ethic?
Makes sense.
And I was like, damn. He's got a point.
Yeah, 100%.
Because if I did the math and I'm like, it was like 45 appointments a month. It's like 11 a week. Means I'm sitting 6 or 8, an hour a pop. Dude, I'm only sitting with clients like 8 hours a week.
Yeah.
How can I expect to get rich? 6 or 8 hours a week selling.
That's true.
You know what I mean? And it was like this crazy epiphany that I was the problem. And I was using all these external factors to reason why I wasn't having this level of success I somehow expected working the same, basically part-time schedule.
Yeah.
You know, and I committed. I went home to Steph and I had a great conversation with Killamet about my schedule. And we come up with, because I was running I would dial Monday, run Tuesday, dial Wednesday, run Thursday. Right? Because I had my kids on Wednesdays at that time. So I couldn't be in the field because I had the kids.
Yeah.
So he's like, why don't you move the kids to Thursday, dude?
Yeah. So you have that consistent.
Yeah. So then I changed it and I went to what today's schedule is. Dial Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you know what I mean? Normal. And I went home to Steph and I'm like, here's what I learned. And it was at a convention.
Oh, wow.
First convention where I had that conversation with Mark. And I went home and I'm like, I know what the problem is. It's my schedule. That's it. That's all I got to change. And we mapped out a schedule for a month and I committed to 30 appointments a week, but also 120 a month.
Okay.
So if I didn't hit the 30, it meant I had to make it up. So I committed 120 a month. 30 a week, 120 months, 1,500 a year. I went, my closing ratio can be terrible, and I can make 250.
Yeah, you've seen enough people.
Yeah. And I just was like, that's how I'm going to go at it. I'm going to stop looking for the magic pill. I'm going to stop trying to get better at, not that I wasn't going to do trainings, but I was going to stop hunting for the secret.
Yeah.
And just see how it went. No different than we start doing 75 hard. You're like, you work out for 75 straight days, twice a day. You're probably going to be in better shape in 75 days.
Yep. Most definitely.
You know? So I just changed the way I went after it, dude. And I went from, again, 10, 12, 15 apps a month to 40, 50, 60 overnight. Overnight, dude. And my whole world changed.
Yeah.
And I never looked back.
And it's so powerful how just that one thing, one, having the right schedule, and two, putting in the right amount of activity can completely change your business. And a lot of times it's like, you know, we definitely, like you said, we want to get better in certain areas, but it's hard sometimes to explain to people that you get better by doing.
Correct.
Not just by training. Like, yep, train. Get to the 1 p.m. training or whatever the time your team has training. But also make sure you've got those 30 appointments, because that's the real training right there.
It's like, I was trying to explain this to someone the other day. Right. And first I'm going to say, don't let me forget the training thing, because I want to say something about leads. Like, people go like, well, but I can't get the leads to do it.
Yeah.
Almost every agent I've ever talked to, I'm like, dude, you have how many leads do you have that have never picked up?
A ton.
Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds is always the answer.
Absolutely.
If you really had to, like if your life were on the line, I don't know, you were going to go to prison if you didn't book 30. I've never had someone say they couldn't figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you only have to figure it out once, like just one time. You figure it out once and you put in those appointments, no one's confused you'll make extra money.
Yep.
Then the question is, what do you do with the extra money? Do you have the wherewithal to reinvest it back into leads properly? Or are you just going to go, ooh, I got extra money. Let's pay off the bills. Let's do the credit card. Let's do that. You know what I mean?
Makes sense. Yeah.
So when I did it that one time, because I didn't have the funds either, that money I saved up part-time went away quick because I didn't have the income anymore.
Makes sense.
So that bank account drained. But that one time I went, I'm going to go after it. Whatever it takes with these leads. I got to the 30. I had more deposits in the next few days. And then I just took those deposits, reinvested them into more leads. And then it made it easier the second time because I had a ton of new leads. You know what I mean? And it was like, if people would just do that, like you can get out of this hole so fast if you do it right. And then, the training thing for me, it's like my daughter just got her license.
Oh, wow. Watch out.
Yeah. Right. So she's 16. This is the third child now to have a license. So I'm used to I'm used to it by now. But she just turned 16, just got her car. She just got her license in April. She watched me drive for 16 years. All the time.
Yeah.
She's in the car with me all the time. For 16 years, bro. What happened the first time she got behind the wheel?
She didn't know what she was doing.
She had no clue what she was doing. Why? Because she never did it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people aren't confused that doing is how you learn.
Yeah.
They just kind of pretend they don't know, and then we buy it sometimes. You know what I mean? And we try to have this weird reasoning and validation. And again, anything you want to get better at, you're going to have to do a lot. Maddox is learning football. He watches football every season. He gets out there. He don't know if he needs to run right or left right now. You know what I mean? He doesn't know what any of the plays are. He doesn't. Why? Because he's never done it. You want to learn to dribble a basketball with your weak hand. How are you going to do it?
You got to just do it.
Training videos? Watching John do it?
Definitely not.
You know what I mean? It's with everything in life. And I struggled with it too, dude. I look back and I'm like, I sold myself that load of crap and bought it. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, that's what whoever's watching, there's a ton of people watching this that are selling themselves on all the reasons why they can't have success. And if they would just work, and that's what I changed. But you know what's funny is and you've probably heard me talk about this before. I've had 2 jobs that have timed me before. I've been timed to do work.
Yeah.
In the warehouse, they timed how many boxes I loaded per hour. And I worked in a call center that they timed how much of my 8 hours I was physically talking to someone. So here, I changed my timing to only count. I was going to get to my 40 hours by using my time as 1 minute per dial, right? And I was going to be 1 hour per SAT appointment and then 20 minutes per interview.
Okay.
So the math to 40 hours is 30 appointments at 20. That's 20 hours.
Yeah.
30 interviews. 20, it's 10 hours.
Yeah.
And 600 dials is 10 hours.
Makes
That's
sense.
how I was going to get to 40. I couldn't go, I started dialing at 8 and I finished at 9 p.m. and I did 200. That's not 12 hour, 14 hour, whatever the hours are.
You just took all day.
3 hours.
Yeah.
So when I changed this to be just like it was in the corporate world for me, now I could look at myself and go, do you really work 40 hours? Because if I was at the call center, they wouldn't have given me full-time credit when I was running 10 or 12 appointments a week, making $150. I would have got fired.
Yeah.
And I held myself to that same standard. And then what's nuts, dude, I got really freaking good.
Yeah.
I got really good at it. And then I could do it in no time. Dude, me and Kilmet, you were there.
Yeah.
Dude, we'd be booked up 20 appointments before lunch.
Yeah. And lunch is at 11.
Yes, it is. With Mike, it is. Yes, sir.
I remember saying what kind of leads are these guys dialing? Being brand new, they're going to lunch. No, I can't come to lunch. I need to dial.
But the reps and the willingness to go through it with no emotion.
Yeah.
That's the hard part is people have this emotion.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching this dude dial downstairs in the Atlanta office and someone cussed him out. He definitely cussed him back out. I'm like, that don't work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was that guy. We let our emotions get in the way versus just understanding it's a game. It's a numbers game. You play baseball, you're going to strike out. You're going to hit pop. You're going to ground out. You're going to pop out, whatever. You're going to get hit by pitches. Football, you're going to get popped in the jaw. Maddox is going to get hit.
Yeah. And
it's going to hurt and he's going to cry. He knows that. It's football. And in the insurance business, you're going to get hung up on. You're going to get chargebacks. You're going to get cancels. You're going to get cussed out. That's coming. So just account for it. you know, and if you expect it, for me, when the emotions went away, because I'm an emotional wreck, ask
Yeah.
staff. When that went away, dude,
That's a game
it
changer
was
right
over.
there.
Yeah, it was over.
Yeah, and it's getting agents to understand that and putting in that activity and knowing, like what you just said, it's like a high amount of activity helps you get better,
Yeah.
and you're able to accomplish more in less amount of time.
Yeah.
And how powerful that can be. But making up your mind that, hey, I'm gonna do whatever it takes as long as it takes till I get to that point where I'm better, and not giving up. I mean, it's so easy for people to give up on themselves, and what they're missing out on is it's just sad to see when that happens.
It is. I just started looking at it like a sport.
Yep.
It's like the sport of insurance. And I wanted to, if they did a draft, I wanted to get drafted.
Makes sense. I like that.
You know? And I had to put in the work because I knew there was going to be like a combine and tryouts, and they're watching other people. You know what I mean? I wanted to be elite at this. When I figured out that's all it was, and when I saw all these other people killing it, because I was here for a minute, I'll start quick. You know what I mean? And I'm watching all these other people rise up, and I'm like, I want that. I want to be on stage. I'd watch Paul speak, Mark speak. They learn all these guys, and I'm like, I want that.
Yeah.
You know, so I started just going after it different, man. And I just looked at it like, again, imagine life insurance had a draft.
Yeah.
Would y'all get picked?
That's a good question to ask yourself. And with having the right mindset about this business, it sounds well. Let me say it this way. It seems like this is more of what's up here than anything else. It's like how you see things, and then the action that you take more than anything else.
So is life.
That's true.
Yeah. Everything we do, bro. This ain't no different. This ain't no different.
It's all mental.
You know, and that's a battle I still battle every day. I'm not saying it's an easy battle. You know what I mean? But at least when you understand what game you're playing, and I just was like, if it's all here, and I'm losing because of this, fair to say I'm losing to myself.
True.
That's kind of stupid to lose to yourself.
Yeah.
Like if I'm going to lose to you because you're a better man, amen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're a better athlete, sale, whatever. I'm like, all right, I can take that. But I lose to me? Dude, and I've been losing to myself for 35, 36 years. You know, and I didn't want it anymore, dude. I had to change.
Yeah. That's like what Sean Mike says. Have some respect for yourself.
Yeah, legit. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
So that's good stuff, man. And so you started taking off, and because of that increased activity, and then as you're growing, you're looking at saying, okay, let's scale this thing from a business standpoint. So you were doing both simultaneously, or you were you focused on the selling first, and then worked on recruiting?
I was recruiting from day one. I was recruiting when I was going to my accounting job.
Oh, wow.
Still, yeah, because I understood the business side right away. Now, I did not have success with it, but I was doing it a lot. And this is like an activity thing. I wasn't confused by that part ever from day one. I was like, I'm building this because I saw other people having done it. And I'm a big believer, if you can do it, so can I.
Yeah.
I just have to figure it out. So I never turned off recruiting. Not one day ever have I stopped, ever since the day I started, did I stop doing that. And for perspective, because, some people, like, you think the numbers in insurance are rough. The percentages and the ratios.
Yeah.
Like, when you understand them, it's not pretty easy to deal with, but they're not, it's not like you go 9 for 10. And if you do, you're a unicorn.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do all the time. Like, the ratios in the building side are even worse.
Yeah.
Like, tenfold.
Yeah.
But like the first 2 years, I did over 700 interviews myself, calling Craigslist resumes, things like that. And in the summer of 2014, I had one agent named John Wetmore. And kill him at
after all those interviews, you're the only one that still was on the team.
And I'd gotten people paid, people come and gone and started and quit. And you know what I mean? Like there were people getting, but kill him at, I love him, dude. He's always, his version is Wetmore had no, first of all, he called me Whitmore. Right? Whitmore, he's got no bedside manner. That's what he used to tell me. And I was like, is that Southern from I'm being an a-hole?
Yeah.
He's like, yes. I was rough, man. I had my expectations were off with people. I treated people poorly. You know what I mean? I didn't really get to know people and understand people. I was literally just doing it just purely for me.
Yeah.
Purely selfish reasons is why I was trying to build. Um, you know, and I wasn't empowering people. I wasn't pointing people to success. I just was messing it up in a lot of ways. But that taught me a lot, dude. I'm not mad at the way it happened because it taught me I had to change me again.
Yeah.
So, certainly picking up the sales side helped, but I had to change myself with clients and the sales side and phones and all that stuff. So I was like kind of two plus years into like changing me. So I'm like, I guess I gotta, I really, the biggest epiphany for me with the building side, dude, was understanding there's a difference from what I say and what you hear.
That's true.
I didn't know that, dude. I'm like, because I would get feedback like, dude, he's rude or he's an a-hole. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I actually care a lot for your success. And I feel like if I'm not direct, I'm lying to you. I'm not like attaboy, Jermaine, just, it'll be better tomorrow. That's not me.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, you slept in till noon and you made $42. What do you expect, bro?
Yeah.
And that's the nice version.
That's the cleaned up version of it. Huh?
But to me, if I feel like if I'm trying to fix your phone script in that instance, I feel like I'm lying to your face.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And so I had to figure out how to deliver it the right way according to what the person wants in life, and that took a minute, but that evolution started when I had that discovery that when I say something, they're hearing it and taking it different. And I could blame you, be like, dude, that ain't what I mean, bro.
Yeah.
But I'm like, let me work on the delivery. And at this stage, I had seen Killamette change in the way he speaks. Sean talks about it a lot. I mean, I was around it enough to see, like, they're really intentional with their behaviors and their language and the way they deliver messages. I watched Sean Mike train Mike Killamette.
Yeah.
I got a front row seat to that. That wasn't terrible. To watch him literally help develop Mike was phenomenal to watch. So I'd already kind of seen it. And when I started tweaking the way I spoke to people and just being honest, like, here's my flaws.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Please don't take. And I learned how to deliver, man. People started taking it different. They started hearing it different. They started, and I just started getting the hang of how to get people to like have that light bulb moment. And I just tell my story. The way I had success is changing me.
Yeah.
And doing A, B, and C and putting in the work. And that's how you want me to tell you what works. This is what worked for me. And I just got really good at delivering it, dude. And then I combined it with the activity I was really already putting in, and then in the interview side, when I changed it to 30 interviews a week, that changed my world.
So same thing duplicated on the building side as the running business.
Again, how long is an interview really?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? 20 minutes is great, like very gracious.
Yeah.
Because they don't take that long on average.
True.
A great one, sure. But when you average them all out, dude, some of them are 30 seconds.
True.
So it wasn't that difficult. It was just getting them talking about it and then having a willingness, if you can't get enough warm market or social or whatever leads, the willingness to pay for them. And I was willing to pay for it, dude, because I wanted to build, and I wasn't confused by the math of this thing.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. Seeing it as a business. I was talking with Kilmet last week, and I was just saying that sometimes it's hard for me to see how individuals get into our industry and our business, our company, and don't see that, hey, there's levels to this, and let's go for the top. Why settle at a certain level? Yeah. But I remember you had a conversation with me, and you used the restaurant example, like, hey, not everybody wants to manage a restaurant. Some people just want to come in and cook the fries or the burger and, make their check and they're good to go, and so it's trying to accept that and not wanting to make everybody the restaurant manager, because I want everybody managing the restaurant. You get a restaurant, you get a restaurant. I'd be
right.
like Oprah handing out restaurants, but
It's
like, no, bro, I got the fries. Is that cool?
Yeah.
So how do you handle that? I mean, it's just having that understanding.
Yeah, I ask a lot of questions of people, and I can stretch people through my questions. I'll give you an example. I was talking to a guy yesterday that I'm helping bring on, and he's watched me in the space for a while, and he's like, dude, I'm willing to do whatever. Will you help me get there? I'm like, yeah, hell yeah. Yes. So we're talking, and part of my initial line of questioning, like, I need to understand where people are at, where they're trying to go, and what they're willing to sacrifice.
Makes sense.
If I understand that, dude, I can guide someone, because that's for me everything. It's equivalent of a financial inventory in the house.
Yeah.
I mean, I just want to understand those pieces. So he tells me where he's at financially, and I said, where do you want to be? Like, what do you have to make and what do you want to make? Those are two different numbers to me. So he tells me what he has to make to pay his bills. And when he said what he wants to make, which respectable, he said a few $100,000. I was like, really? I said, you go to, just to be clear, I'm not mad at the number, but I just want to make sure we're on the same page. Because I said, where do you want to go? Like, not what do you have to, not immediate. Like, I asked, like, long term. You go to sleep at night and the biggest dreams you got lead you to 300? And he goes, well, when you word it like that, no. I'm like, well, that's the question I asked. I want to know, like, how you dream, dude.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh. And that opened a different conversation and allowed me to stretch him right away. Now, if he said yes, I'm not mad at that. I just wanted to understand, because I know him, and I'm like, that's it?
Yeah.
You know, and his real number was like, he's like, I'm 1.5. I'm like, I like that number.
Yeah.
Let's work on that. Now, you ain't going to get that tomorrow. This is a longer term plan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I want people to stretch their vision. So I just ask a lot of questions. So I have to understand the schedule. I like to know who pays the bills, because I think that's important when it comes to leads. I want to know if the spouse is on board, if this is your first thing you're trying or not, or if this is like thing 27.
Yeah.
Like, is there frustration there? Is there not? I just want to understand that. Your time commitment. What do you have that's in the way? Are you willing to give up weekends? Are you willing to give up church? Are you willing to give up? And there's no right answer.
Yeah.
I just want to understand it. That way my expectation isn't off. And then if they're like, no, I have to go to football on Saturdays, I have to do church on Sundays, I have this on Wednesday nights, the only day I'm available is Monday evening, and da da da. If they give me all these, I'm like, all right, now I can set the right expectation for them.
Yeah.
Dude, it's going to be really hard to hit that number if all you can do is this many hours. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or if they're like, no, I'm wide open. I'm like, so the wife's on board, you can go be gone for 3 days, she ain't going to be mad? Nope, leads come. You know what I mean? I can go through all that, and then it lets me give them a clear path. And now they pick the path. I'm like, if you want to do this, here's where you go. If you want to do this, here's where you go. But if you do it this low, here's what it's going to feel like. And the equivalent is like, you fly in a nice jet, right?
Yeah.
You ever been in one of like those, like the turboprop? You ever flown in one of those?
Yeah. I did that for my anniversary, and I ended up throwing up.
It ain't the same, dude. It feels different.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So if you're going to do this with a limited schedule, dude, this ain't going to be like flying Delta or like a G450. It's going to be like a turboprop that barely works. It's like a bumpy ride. It's going to hurt. It's going to be inconsistent. I'll just explain it.
Yeah.
You know, and if they accept that, that's again, all good. So I try to give not only a path, but I also want to give them some insight into what it's going to feel like.
Yeah.
I don't want them to feel like they're walking in the dark. You know, I want them to at least feel, I don't know, you travel a lot. You go in a hotel room and you get up at night, you got to go to the bathroom, and you don't know where the heck the bathroom is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, but at home,
Easy.
I ain't got to open my eyes at home, dude. I just walk right in, you know? And I want people to feel like they know where they're walking at night in a dark room. I want them to I want to give that vision a little bit. But I have to ask a lot of questions to do that. So I spend probably more time up front than most. I was on the phone with this dude 45 minutes yesterday, you know, just wearing him out with questions, man. So I had complete understanding, so I could give him a nice, clear path.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, all right, here's step one. When you're done with step one, call me back. We're going to talk again probably tomorrow.
Makes sense. And I like how you said it doesn't matter what his answer is. It's not right or wrong. It's just, hey, at least I know where you're at, and I'll meet you where you're at, help you, to get to where you're trying to go, because it's about them, not about you. Yeah. That's powerful. I like that. And it's funny. It reminds me a lot of the in-home, because that's all you do in the in-home, ask enough questions and figure out what they want, and then give them the options to get to where they want to be. Yep. So it's mirror.
It's building an in-home is literally identical in theory, and you got to learn the connection points. Mm-hmm. And what I've learned, man, is most people that are selling, that want to build, they don't realize how much it's the same, and they have these really great attributes in the home or in the sales side, and they leave those attributes in the home, and they get in their car and they start doing recruiting or training and they leave all that out the window.
Yeah.
So I've learned those parallels over the years, and it made it a lot easier. And then teaching it became very easy
Yeah.
because if I'm teaching you to build, most of the analogies are going to be very similar to what you're already good at in the house.
Yeah.
And it's learning those things with time.
Makes sense. Absolutely, man. So now fast forward and we could wrap up with this, but now, thousands of agents in your agency, millions of dollars in sales as an agency on a monthly basis and over 100 million, I think probably 150 plus million annually
This year, yeah.
Yeah.
We did 125 last year.
125 last year. So, did you see it getting this to where it's at at this point? Did you see it?
I'll tell you, when I almost quit the first month of FFL, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know that story?
Yep, about the leads.
Yeah, we had no leads. So I'm like, I'm quitting. I was like, there's a competitor that had leads, and I'm like, I need leads. We had no leads the first month or two here. So Jeremy finds out I'm quitting. He calls Killamet. Killamet calls Sean. We get on a three-way call. Sean then explains the vision to me. Mm-hmm. He's like, I run the company, bro. I know we have no leads. I'm like, I hear you.
Yeah.
But I'm broke. I need a solution, dude. What can we? And he comes up with a solution. And that first year we worked second chance with no image.
Okay. Yep. We got those.
Yeah. That's all I worked. Spreadsheet. Did probably 175 apps that year.
Wow.
No leads. No physical lead. Anyway, so we get off that call, and he gives me the vision, explains what he's talking about, $1 billion, household name, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Then, January 2014. I'm like, so I sit down with Steph, and I'm like, dude, this guy, Killamet and Sean, like, they really believe in what they're doing. And they all had young kids, too. I'm like, and they see a vision for their families. I bought into their vision that day because I wasn't really committed to. I didn't know any of them yet. I didn't know Mike. I knew of him. He was at the front doing the training, but I didn't know him.
Yeah.
And that was probably the first time he ever called me. Was that call? And I was like, I remember telling Steph, I'm like, dude, he's got 3 little girls. Sean's got 2 little kids, and they see something. I don't know what they see, but I like it.
Yeah.
I want in, and that day I committed. And I remember texting Sean to answer your question. I text Sean. I go, dude, I look forward to one day doing like 300 a month as a team. You know what I mean?
That was a big deal at that point.
Bro, that was my vision then. Yeah. Like, we do that like a day now, I think. Yeah. So we do a lot, And I'm like, that's where it was at then. That was a massive number to me then.
Wow.
It was only 8 years ago, 8.5 years ago.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I never saw it this big. I knew I'd be part of something cool. I knew I would work my way to the top of this company. Like, I felt that. I just believed it.
Yeah.
That was I didn't know how it was going to be. I didn't know how long it was going to take. But that was the plan. I wanted to be in that because all those guys were having some level of success when I started.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Previous company, they were all together. Killamet, Mark, Paul, Andrew, Matt Smith, Frankie, Sean, obviously. I'm sure I'm missing someone. Ruggiero. They were all having some level of success already. I'm like, I want to be with them.
Yeah.
And today I get lumped in with those names. But at the beginning, I was just a new dude trying to figure it out, man.
Trying to fit in. So that speaks to the power of the leader casting the vision.
Yeah.
100%. And being able to get the buy-in on that vision.
Without that conversation, dude, I would not have been committed to this thing.
Wow.
There's no way.
That's powerful. That's powerful. So for those of you that are leading a team, an agency out there, make sure you're keeping that vision in front of your folks so that they have something to buy into to be able to pull them up to the level of success that they want to have. Last question then, John, for you. So if you had to say, hey, these 3 things helped me, grow my business, scale my business, and have the success that I'm having, what would you, 3 of the many, I'm sure, but what would 3 be that you'd want to mention on this podcast?
Consistency is the first one that comes to mind.
Okay.
I think I did that really well. You've been around a while.
Yeah.
You've seen way better salespeople than me. You've seen people way better communicators than me. You've seen, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're not here anymore.
Yeah.
I just didn't stop. I'm insanely consistent. So that helped.
Yeah.
That eventually in the long run, you'll outdo a lot of people with way more talent.
Yeah.
So I'd say that. I would say a willingness to work on me all the time has helped me a ton. I still have to do it. I think we all have some version of a train wreck in ourselves. So that's been a big one for me is trying to look at things like how did I contribute to this outcome, especially when it's negative.
Yeah.
I'm not really trying to find how I contributed to the positive ones. I mean, I do my best, whatever, but I'm not like hunting for that but I'm hunting to like whatever situation, how could I have controlled that differently? What could I have done different to influence the outcome?
Makes sense.
So I would say that's probably a number two. The third one's going to be like a combo. I think I'm insanely coachable.
Okay.
And I implement stuff right away.
I like that.
Yeah. I don't like when Killamette told me stuff, my answer was always got it. And I put it in right away. I'm slow to pick things up maybe, but I'll implement something in a second.
Yeah.
I don't go slow there. So those are probably top three off the top of my head.
Makes sense, man. And of course, I said last question, but then we got to do a plug for the program that you and I have completed. You've completed it. You're on it right now. And because I think it's so crucial for anyone that's trying to become the best version of themselves, to put themselves in the state of mind and the physical state that they need to be able to be the best version in this business, in their family, whatever the case may be. So touch on that real quick.
Isn't it nuts how much it impacted your personal world?
Oh, completely.
So we're Jermaine and I have done, I'm on my third round of what's called 75 Hard. And a lot of people think it's a workout program. And it literally is not at all.
No.
And what's crazy is I'd watch someone do, I'll tell what it is first. So 75 Hard is basically a program. You can look it up, Andy Frisella. You Google it. There's a podcast on it. It explains it in depth. I'm going to give the short version or the steps to it. It's 75 straight days. You go do 2 workouts a day, 45 minutes each. One has to be outside, and they can't be back-to-back. They'd be like 3-4 hours apart minimum.
Yeah.
You have to follow a strict meal plan. You get to pick it, but it has to be hard.
Yep.
And there's no cheat meals. So no snacks, no desserts, no nothing. And so I do like no fried foods and I make it difficult there. And of course, no snacks, no desserts. No alcohol, gallon of water a day, progress picture every day.
Yep.
And read 10 pages of a nonfiction book.
Yep.
75 straight days. And I watched this dude do it on social a few years back. I'm like, there's no way I could do that. And I just kept following this, and I kept watching it, and it kept popping up in my world. I'm like, dude, I ain't committing to that? Like 75 every day? I just was struggling with it, man, wrapping my head around how to figure it out. I do like doing hard things, but I was going through a phase in business and life, and this was in probably the end of 2020, which is weird enough because after Integrity, dude, I was struggling mentally with some stuff. And I'm like, I've got to get my mind off of the stuff because it was dragging me down. It was messing up our marriage in some way. It was just like I was pouting about stuff. It was just bad.
Yeah.
I'm like, I got to get my head right. And dude, I roll out of bed day after Christmas, 2020, and I'm like, F it, I'm doing it. And I started 75 Hard that day, right before New Year's, knowing I like to drink on New Year's Eve and can't do it, you know what I mean? And, dude, it's given me this such mental clarity that I've never in my life imagined. I have a hard time this is my third time doing it.
Yeah.
I have a hard time not doing it because
agree.
I love the challenge. I love the difficulty of it. And you know what triggered me really, which is really kind of counterintuitive to what probably most people could do now. Like when I started selling at a high level, that thing that clicked, like that I dialed every morning early when I didn't really want to.
Yeah.
That I kept going through it when it was hard. That I was in the field every day when it was hard. That I kept all the stuff that I kept doing when it was hard every day. And I really didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
But I saw value in financially. I'm like, I already have that trigger. I just need to turn that on here. And dude, it grows it's hard to explain what it grows in, but it changed me inside.
Yeah.
Like completely. Because dude, there's a lot of time, and the first time through the winter.
Yeah.
Dude, I did it through convention, winter, trips, and just making it happen, dude. And it's you learn like how much you can control your schedule.
Mm-hmm.
You learned how disciplined you can be. You learn to trust yourself in a different way.
Yeah.
And it makes hard things seem really easy, dude.
True.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm sure
I
you
agree
can give some
with you.
feedback
Yeah,
on it.
man, 100%. And you get, I think the biggest thing is you really get to see your full potential.
Yeah.
Because before I was the guy who's like, man, there's not enough hours in the day. I can't
Yeah.
get everything done. And now I'm doing so much more,
Yeah.
with the same hours that I had
Yeah.
before because the day didn't get lengthened. It's just that, you prioritize and then just a level of confidence. It's that edge,
Yeah,
right?
it is.
You give yourself an edge where you're like, man, I'm willing to do what other people aren't willing to do.
100%.
And you just, not that you're better than anybody, but you are a better version of yourself. You're better than the guy or gal you used to be, which is all it comes down to, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's always, you see these memes on Instagram, it's like you against you, and that's the way it should be. So it's a phenomenal program, and definitely check it out. And the fact that Andy does this thing for free, man, this guy could be making a lot of money off this thing.
He could be. It's a fun podcast. If you want direct,
yes,
go listen to his podcast.
If you don't listen to his podcast.
Yeah. If you don't mind opinions and directness, and like, I love it. I love listening to his stuff, and it's changed my world. Steph's done it with me. This is her second time doing it.
Oh wow.
So we do it as a couple.
Yeah.
And this time we did it because some people go like, "You ain't in the field, you don't know." I'm like, "Y'all see how much I travel?
Yeah.
Like, watch me." So I did it intentionally this time around a ridiculous amount of travel. We've had a few vacations, family vacations. We've been out of the country twice. I've done like a obscene amount of conferences and speaking things and stuff like that. And dude, we don't miss. We don't miss.
Wow.
And we've had to do at really inconvenient times.
I can only imagine. I think I saw you doing a workout like 1:30 a.m. one morning.
We did. We had to start one day because we were flying out west. So we had to start at 4 a.m. here because the car was picking us up at 6 to go to the airport. Right. So we had to start at 4 a.m. here. And then we did them when we got there. And, did them around. I had to get up early and do it before events, yada, yada. And then on the way back, flying back 3 hours, you lose 3 hours.
Yeah.
So we had to get up even earlier there, get a workout in. And then our flight got delayed 2 hours from Vegas.
Wow.
So we didn't get back to Atlanta till 11:30 p.m., dude. After a 5-hour flight, 4 days on the road, 4 different hotels, 4 different speaking events. We got home, we were working out 1 a.m., dude.
Wow. Yeah, that's doing what most people wouldn't be willing to do, man. So that's powerful. Well, thank you, John. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. And I hope everyone that's watching got a lot out of this. And if not, go back and listen to it and get a pen and paper because there's a lot of gems in this one right here. So anything you want to leave the people with, John?
I think go out and get what you want. I'd say most people know the things they need to do. Most people know the things they need to stop doing. The question is whether or not you go out and execute. So my advice is to you, go out and execute, do it every day, be consistent, be disciplined, and go change your family's life. Hope it helps.
Perfect. Well, like, share, and subscribe, guys. Appreciate you for watching.